What is up, everybody?
What's up?
How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Friends of Five, brought to you by 5 Reasons Sports Network. We got a great guest today, but before we get to that guest, make sure you get onto our YouTube page, subscribe to the page, like it, comment, get on our Twitter, follow us over there, and head over to our website. We got lots of free content on Friends of Five, 5reasonsports.com, and some awesome shirts. And with that,
My name is Ryan Lasner, Lasnersport. And today's guest, we have Shandel Richardson. He's been around forever, Miami sports icon, and I would say sports writer. He's with Sports Illustrated as well. Let's get into it again. The Miami Heat won last night without Jimmy Butler. Did you see that happening?
First of all, I want to say you guys have great shirts. I do love those shirts. They crack me up. Who made the double bubble shirt?
Oh, that was Adam Smoot.
Yeah, that was when I saw that, I just started laughing. It took me back to double dribble days, and I thought that was great. To answer your question, I mean, it was very shocking for them to beat the Boston Celtics, a team as talented as the Celtics without Jimmy. And they did it. I don't want to say with ease, but that fourth quarter, the game was never in doubt. And then Duncan Robinson hits those two big 3-pointers to kind of ice it. But, I mean, Eric Spoelstra's got this team going early. I mean, a lot faster than I expected. And Brad Stevens said it last night. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the game, and I agree with him. He's got these guys playing some playoff level basketball right now after just 3 games.
I was watching the TNT broadcast after the game because I like to watch it with the Fox Sports Suns, and then I like to get TNT aspect, after. Reggie Miller said the Bucks and the Raptors are the clear-cut, better teams than everybody else in the East. Do you honestly think that that's good? That's a real thing? I mean, because I feel like we're right there with the Raptors at least. I mean, we had a close game with them.
I don't want to say clear-cut, but they are just a cut above the rest of the teams in the East. I mean, Miami is right there on the cusp. I mean, Boston's right there. Indiana could be there. I mean, the East is that wide open this year. But, I mean, we saw the game against Toronto. I mean, the Heat had every chance to pull that out. I mean, those 2 plays, the 2 turnovers in the last 30 seconds were plays they could have easily executed and taken that game. So I put Milwaukee at 1A, maybe Toronto kind of 1B, and then there's kind of everyone else is just kind of on the same level.
Right. And then Bam, I mean, I was watching Bam's game yesterday. It seems like the game before the Raptors, he was kind of limited in the offensive role. Without Jimmy, they kind of expanded his role, and he was more aggressive. He has similarities to Giannis, where he's just long and he could just take off from anywhere or when he's close to the rim. And then also he had a play yesterday where he forces himself into a rebound, pivots, backs up, and then dunks it like Shaquille O'Neal. So the man is his ceiling. I just don't know where it can be. I know Jimmy Butler has said in the past, this is Bam's team. He's the future. Do you think there's a ceiling for him, or what would you say is a ceiling comparable to another player?
I mean, like you said, you hit him on the nail. I mean, he's a kind of a Giannis type of guy, and he just needs to be showcased. I mean, everyone that I've talked to that knows Bam, I mean, this isn't new for them. I mean, he was playing like that in high school. I mean, he could play like that at Kentucky. He just goes with the flow. However the team uses him, that's what he does. I mean, he was on a star-studded team at Kentucky, kind of playing a limited role, but you could see his ability then. And with the Heat last year, I mean, I started seeing his talents when I saw him dribbling the ball up the court. He'd get a rebound and dribble straight down. I mean, he could have easily taken it in for a basket, but you could kind of see him taking a step back because that's not what Eric Spoelstra wanted him to do. So he just kind of does what the coaching staff wants, and this year they're letting him, showcase his talents this year, and that's what we're seeing.
Right.
At the very end of the game yesterday, Goran Dragic, messes up his ankle. That's where we're hearing his sprain. What have you heard? Do you know how long he's going to be out, or are they going to reevaluate him this morning and you haven't heard anything yet?
I haven't heard anything yet. They should reevaluate him today. They have the day off, so, I mean, that'll definitely help. I don't see Goran playing tomorrow against the Bucks, and it's kind of unfortunate if this does slow him for a couple of games because he was playing so well, and then he's going to have to. I mean, after being off 4 months, and you got to come back for a couple of weeks, then you might be shelved for 2 more weeks. I mean, that's just going to slow all the momentum he gained, and that's going to be really important because the Heat point guard is one of their main issues. I mean, if he's out, I mean, who's going to handle the ball? We don't know. I mean, it's just going to be a tough loss for them if he's out for extended time.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Bucks game tomorrow. What should we look out for, or what are you expecting in the game? Like, not necessarily just a win, but what are you looking for within the rotation without a Goran?
I mean, without Goran, we're going to have to see more. Hopefully, Tyler Herro can get back there and get some minutes at the point guard. I mean, he's shown that he can do it. I mean, he's capable of doing it. I mean, Kendrick Nunn, he's never been a true point guard. I mean, in my opinion. I mean, others may think so, but I just don't see him as a true point guard. He's more of a combo guard. So I'd like to see Tyler get more minutes back there, and hopefully Jimmy's back. I mean, that's going to be a big key if Jimmy comes back, if this is going to be a game. And probably the biggest thing I want to see out of this game is Bam versus Giannis. I mean, everybody wants to see that. I mean, they're good friends. They have the same agent. I mean, that's going to be the marquee matchup of the week. I mean, and it's just I can't wait to watch it because they're both similar players, like we said earlier. And I know Bam's going to be amped up for it.
We've seen some flashes from Tyler Herro during the regular season. We've seen some flashes now from Tyler Herro in the bubble. What can we expect from Tyler Herro, like growth-wise? What's his ceiling? Like, do we know, or is he going to always be, sixth man of the year? That's his limit.
I mean, it's kind of too early to give you his ceiling just because, I mean, he's only played, 60 games, 65 games. I think the biggest key with Tyler is becoming more than just a shooter, and he'll be the first person to tell you that. I mean, it's a label he's been trying to shed since he was a kid. So if he can become – I mean, he can't be Duncan Robinson. He has to be more than just, standing behind the three-point arc, catch and shoot guy. He needs to be able to create his own shot and also improve his defense. Those are his 2 areas that he needs to work on. But I think Tyler was one of the top 5 rookies this year. I mean, until he got hurt in February, that kind of slowed him down. And he said it earlier. He said he felt he would have been in the Rookie of the Year race had he not gotten hurt. And I think that's true because he was rolling at that time.
Yeah, and I like it because he's actually shown already that he can create his own shots, and he's had some instances where he can be a great defender. You know, we just gotta see that consistently.
Right, and also, I mean, with Tyler, I mean, his confidence is going to just carry him so far in this game. I mean, here's a guy that 5 seconds left, he's like, "Give me the ball," and that's a big key, especially for a young player.
Yeah, and then also, so T.J. Warren, I don't know, for the Pacers, he's kind of flipped the switch, kind of filled in for, I guess, Oladipo didn't play, so he stood up, and also Sabonis is out. So, anyways, he's just playing a little bit better than anticipated. Miami seems to be matched up with the Pacers right now, if all goes correct. But also, like, the Sixers aren't playing so well. Boston, I guess, is not playing so well. We're sandwiched in between. So there's a chance we might play the Sixers. We might play the Pacers. Who would you prefer to play?
I think that I'd rather, I mean, speaking as a writer, I think that he'd have a better chance against the Pacers. Right. I mean, Philadelphia, I know they're not playing well, but, I mean, that team has got a lot of talent over there, and you don't want to run into a lot of talent early in the first round. I mean, the Heat just match up better with the Pacers. I think that's a series they could, I don't want to say easily win, but it should be the opponent they're looking for. But Eric Spoelstra's not looking for any opponent. They'll play anybody, but if I had to pick, it'd be Indiana.
Right.
Do you know who the Heat want to play in have you heard anything about who, or they don't care? They just want to.
Yeah, they just want to get out. They're just excited to be in the playoffs again. I mean, I was in the locker room last year after those guys didn't make it, and they were. I mean, I know it was Dwayne Wade's. It was all about Dwayne Wade and everything last year, but they wanted to get in the playoffs. So, I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter who they line up against. They just want to get out there.
All righty. And did you see after the game, Bam Adebayo and Jayson Tatum get real close? Mm-hmm. They're hugging, they're close. And then after the game, there was interviews going on with Tatum, and Bam's sitting outside, kind of watching him, being cute or whatever. So there's a relationship there. They're friends. It seems like Bam has been close to a lot of players, a lot of star players, Donovan Mitchell, Oladipo, this and that. So between, let's say, Oladipo, Jayson Tatum now, after that, Donovan Mitchell, let's say Giannis, and Bradley Beal, who do you think is the most realistic of those to be in a Heat uniform in the next 2 years?
I'd probably have to say Bradley Beal. I mean, he might be the best option. I know everybody's on the Giannis train and everything, but I just don't. If the Heat can pull that off, I mean, bow down to Pat Riley. If he can pull that off, it's just going to be awful tough. Beal might be a little bit easier, and he'd be a great fit. I mean, I think, and Oladipo as well. I mean, he's also another option. I forgot you mentioned him. He's also another option. He works out in Miami a lot. He loves Miami, and there's also the Dwayne Wade connection and everything. So I'd say Vic and Bradley Beal.
Nice.
Have you heard anything about who they're trying to talk to in this bubble? Because there's a lot of people saying there's going to be some super teams after this. Have you heard about who the Heat have been hanging out more often with? Not saying who are they trying to recruit, but who are they hanging out with a little bit in this bubble?
I mean, I think a lot of that is, it's mostly just hearsay. But like I said, I mean, the Heat have already kind of made it known they want to go after a big splash next summer. And Giannis would be. I mean, I don't want to say hate to see it, but it would make a stacked team down here, and we'd probably have another LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Wade situation down here, which would be great. I mean, great for us. I mean, you guys like watching basketball. I like watching basketball.
Right.
I just don't think it's realistic. But I mean, that's the front runner right there. I mean, if they can get Giannis, I mean, that's the home run.
And what are your thoughts on KZ Akpala? He hasn't played much. The fans want to see him.
Yeah.
He's a development player, but at the same time, it seemed like Miami was really high on him in the draft.
Yeah, they're high on him, but again, I mean, he's a couple of years away, I think. I mean, most of the second-round guys the Heat have taken have been, I mean, with the exception of Josh Richardson, because he was given the opportunity and he was a 4-year player at Tennessee, so it was kind of different. But KZ's young. He's still kind of new to basketball. And I think he's more of a G League type of player right now. The Heat are going to take their time with him, and that's the best option. Just let him. They have enough young players in the rotation as it is. So kind of save him for next season. That's my opinion.
Okay.
After this season, who do the Heat have on their priority list? Top 3 people are the potential free agents that we're going to have. From the Heat team, who are the Heat going to look to sign first?
I mean, they're going to have to go get their big guy first. I mean, they got to figure out and they also have to figure out what they're going to do with Bam, if they're going to extend him or not. So that's a big key right there. I think once they get that out of the way, they can kind of move around the money and see where they can go. But I mean, they're going to go after the big guys you mentioned earlier. I mean, Oladipo, Beal, and Giannis first, and then kind of fill out the rest of the roster. And they have to see what they're going to. Myers Leonard's on an expiring contract, and it's a lot that have to take place before they start looking.
Yeah, you think DJJ stays with us after this year, or you think this is the last we're going to get of him?
I mean, I'd like to see him stay, but he's one of the guys that they could easily move to get a bigger star. And Kendrick Nunn's another guy that they could move. Nunn. We don't know how good he's going to be, so I mean, they could trade him on potential. I mean, his value is at the highest right now. It could easily drop. So those are probably the 2 guys I could see if they decide to move some players leaving.
Right. And overall in the bubble, what do you see as the finals matchup and then the NBA champion this year?
Okay. I think it's going to be Lakers and Raptors.
Okay.
Just because I like Nick Nurse as a coach. He does a great job up there. And Seacom and Kyle Lowry, they didn't miss a beat this year. And I never go against LeBron. Even when they were playing the Warriors, I still always pick LeBron. He lost, but I just think this is his year, and this will really cement his legacy. I think he's the number 2 player of all time behind Jordan. So if he can win a title with the Lakers as a primary player still, no one else is really in his class other than Jordan.
Nice.
Wow, so you really don't see the Bucks beating the Raptors? That's very surprising. Can you tell me a little bit why?
I mean, the Bucks have a lot of holes. I mean, they were really exposed last year, and I just don't see it. I mean, they can. I mean, until Giannis can get the consistent jump shot, I mean, teams know how to defend them, especially in the playoffs when you got to prepare for them every other day. And like I said, Nick Nurse is a great coach, and he could definitely be ready for that.
All right. Well, I know we have to finish up our show, so I'm going to get one question in, and I'll let Matt get one more in.
Okay.
Before the season began, you did a sit-down interview with Jimmy Butler. You got to do a little face-to-face. Now it probably doesn't exist anymore. Everything's
again.
But what would you say about Jimmy's personality that was unique to other players Miami has had in the past?
I think Jimmy is he's just very real. I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, he's a guy that, I mean, he's like talking. It's like you and I were out sitting at a restaurant. He's talking, he's dropping F-bombs and all sorts of curse words. He probably cursed like 100 times in that interview, and he just didn't care. I mean, there's no filter with him at all. And I'd put him in the class of just like a Charles Barkley type. I mean, he's going to say how he feels no matter what, and he tells that to teammates. I mean, he'll yell at you one day, and then he's your best friend the next minute. I mean, him and Tyler Herro go at it in practice all the time, and at the end of the day, they're best friends. So that was the best thing about that interview, was just him just having no filter and being real with me, even though he barely knew me. But it just he just kind of kicked his feedback, and we had a good conversation, 30-minute conversation.
So my last question is, there seems to be a real chemistry, a little unique chemistry with this whole team, right? Like you have Goran and Jimmy. They look like they're best buds. Like Miami Heat looks like they can't lose Goran Dragic because you don't want to piss off Jimmy.
Right.
Bam and Jimmy look like they're like best friends. Tyler and Jimmy look like they're best friends. Even Tyler looks like he's doing really well with Andre Iguodala now. Jay Crowder, even though he's new to the team, like he looks like he meshes so well with everybody on this team. How unique is this bond that this team has? Like this, is this something that every team really has? I mean, besides the 76ers,
yeah.
But like, is this something that every team has, or like, is this kind of unique?
I mean, you answered your question when you said that Jimmy has a bond with Goran, he has a bond with Tyler, he has a bond with Bam. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have that. I mean, there's cliques in the locker rooms of most teams. I mean, most guys hang out together, but all these guys, I mean, they're always together. And this bubble situation has only helped it. I mean, they're around each other all the time. There's no family or friends that kind of interrupt. So it's only getting stronger in the bubble, and I can't overstate it. It is very rare. I mean, that's a good question, because this locker room is, I mean, so tight, and they always talk about it. I mean, Duncan Robinson and Myers Leonard. I mean, what they said about the during the George Floyd situation, that really even put them closer to some of their black teammates, and that really helped. I mean, that just shows you how all these guys are on the same page.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, man. I know you have somewhere to go. It was so much good information, right, Ryan?
Yeah, man. Thanks, Shandel. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you on again, in the future. We'll see how things go, but ultimately go Heat. I know you said Lakers Raptors. I'm thinking Heat Raptors I'm thinking Lakers Heat for some reason. So I hope you're wrong. And but at the same time, thank you for your insight.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
All right, Shandel. Take it easy.
Okay, see you guys later.